welcome to Source Not Found, podcast about the worst versions of your favorite things. Every other week, we talk about an IP, franchise, or fandom based solely through its spin-offs, sequels, and side projects. Basically anything but the source material. My name is Bill Woodall, and I am Barrett Wallace's cornrows after he visited Jamaica on a cruise ship that one time?
I really don't like that character redesign. I really don't like it. I'm Brandon June, and dilly-dally, shilly-shally. Dilly-dally, shilly-shally.
The look on your face when I said about Barrett's cornrows was honestly worth the introduction, because I thought it was absolute dog shit initially. I thought it was absolute garbage, but then I knew I hit it just right when your eyes got really tight. Man, that
seeing
hit.
all those favorite characters like fly in at that one critical moment, it's like, oh, okay, they're here, look, oh, the gang's all back together. And then you get to Red 13, it's like, ooh, Red's looking a little rough. And then you get to Barrett, it's like, Red looks fine.
Yeah.
Red looks fine. What have they done? What did you do to my beautiful boy?
Barrett really
what
looks
is that
like
jacket, vest shit? What is that?
he really looked like he just got off of his first Carnival cruise coming back from the fucking Jamaican port that you can hit. He just got back from, oh my God, what is the weird fucking crazy ass bar where you get the super tall drinks that are frozen? Senior Frogs. Barrett Wallace just got back from Senior Frogs.
All he needs is a puka shell necklace. But then, I don't know, what's the fishnet? What's the fishnet shit?
Dude,
what is that?
I have no idea. Guys, welcome.
Hey.
It's final February, and if this movie has anything to say about it, it should be the final February we all experience.
Yeah.
We're talking about Final Fantasy VII Advent Children.
We are.
The film?
It is technically a film.
Okay. I don't have my normal shit.
Oh.
Like, the normal stuff of like, hey, this is when it was released. This is how much it cost. This is where it was on the... No, it wasn't released in the States. It was barely released in Japan.
Okay. It wasn't... I was trying to remember. Like, I cannot remember the release of this movie. I remember buying a bootleg copy off of eBay and then getting that shipped to me and watching it that way at home.
Based on my cursory examination through the interwebs, it was never really officially released. There was no box office release of Final Fantasy VII Advent Children outside of Japan.
Huh. I think it was recently back in theaters, though, as like a...
it was 2023.
Yeah, okay.
It did just turn 20. Like...
That's wild.
Like yesterday.
Damn, right.
And now, I do want to point out that despite the fact that it was not necessarily released in the States, the fucking voice cast of this bitch is incredible. Did you see who they got?
I heard that Steve Bloom.
Rachel Lee Cook. The she that is all that.
Yeah.
Was Tifa.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know Steve Burton, who played Cloud Lockhart. I don't know him. But I do know Fred Tatasciore, who played Laws. I know Steve Bloom. I know Bo Billingsley, who played Barrett. I know Christy Carlson Romano. Please tell me you know who that. Even Steven?
I listed mine. Even Stevens?
Even Stevens, the older sister, Christy Carlson Romano. You didn't have a crush on her?
Oh, I mean, not particularly. I did watch that a little bit, but not regularly. I wasn't a Disney Channel kid. I was a Nickelodeon kid.
She was Yuffie.
Okay.
Liam O'Brien from Critical Role was
Oh shit.
was Red 13.
Huh. Well, I'm so glad they got this great cast together to put them to use for.
I got two more, bud.
You say, yeah. Who else?
Mina Savari from American fucking Beauty was Aerith.
Oh wait, yeah. I did see that. Yeah.
She was Aerith. And then, not a lot of people know this guy, Rick Gomez. He was in Justified. I think he's absolutely brilliant. He played Zack.
Okay, cool.
The American voice cast they got for this film, especially for the time, was massive. So, why?
Yeah, and actually, I did watch it in English. I wouldn't usually do that, given the opportunity, but I found like a pretty neat copy of this at like a retro game store at some point. It's like the PlayStation 3 Advent Children Complete Edition that was like as a pack-in for the Final Fantasy 13 demo. It's a really nice case. It's a really nice package for a not so nice interior product. But I watched it that way, and it's either like all Japanese or English voice track with Japanese subtitles. There's no English subtitles option. So I did watch it in English, as I assume you did.
I may or may not have a 2-disc special edition released in 2003.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, mine's 2 discs as well, but the other disc is Final Fantasy 13, which is a perfect pairing. It's a perfect pairing of experiences. Just two bottom of the barrel Final Fantasy experiences here.
I no shit bought this DVD the week it came out.
Me too. I got it the week before it came out off eBay. A photocopied insert in a DVD case and like an obviously like misprinted bootleg. Everything just looked shoddy as hell. And the subtitles were weird and wrong, and it was perfect.
No, that's the real
Perfect
version.
way to watch it.
That's how it actually ended up coming out. So I've talked a little bit about the cast. The American voice cast is, I mean, surprisingly good. The quality of voice actors they got makes Spirits Within look poor in comparison, I think.
I might disagree with that, because like the cast, like you listed, and there are a lot of great voice actors on that list, but I didn't come away from this thinking the performances were particularly good. And a lot of the characters kind of just sounded wrong. I don't know.
I will say, Yuffie sounded good. I liked Yuffie.
Yeah.
I think Yuffie was the only character that I walked away from this going, okay, that one sounded almost like from the game.
I think that's also part of it. It's the problem now. Like if you see, I don't know, if you see any new depiction of Tony Stark's, like that doesn't look like Robert Downey Jr. You know,
right.
And it does have, and it's not a knock against Advent Children, because that's me bringing that in. But it is hard to go back. Like this doesn't sound like Remake and Rebirth Tifa, so it's wrong. You know,
that is a big problem for me. Like, I noticed it recently playing Rebirth, and it's a strange vibe to feel like Yuffie is not a child, and she is not necessarily presented as a child in Rebirth. She is presented as a young adult, like 18 to 20.
Yeah.
Where I always felt she was like 14, 15 years old in the OG game. Like she was a kid. And it feels weird. And I will say, like, in Advent Children, she is presented as more of a young adult as well. So it kind of gives you a little bit more of that.
Yeah.
But this whole recency bias of trying to embrace Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Final Fantasy VII Remake as their almost their own IP
Mm-hmm.
makes it really, really difficult to find a way to love the characters that you loved without like eschewing what they were.
That's a good point. I will say one thing that it's like one of the best parts of Crisis Core is this little kid Yuffie. Oh man, little kid Yuffie is so adorable, and she'd even just like comes up like when you're on that first mission, you meet her for the first time. She's that little like I love the what would you call it, the little shoot kind of like jab she does as like a taunt.
Yeah. Like her little like ninja
little
jabs.
uppercut.
Shoot.
Yeah. Adorable.
And like she still does that in Rebirth and Remake. But it seems more of like an affectation and more of like a child's response to stress. But that's not the point of this movie. The point of this movie is...
Oh, wait, really? Okay. I was going to say there was no point to this movie, but it sounds like you found one.
Finding one is...
I'm all ears.
Okay, now I've got... Christ alive. I've got 3 separate synopses, but I've got one that's 1 sentence and one that's more like 4 sentences. So do we want to hear both to see if either of them are reasonable? We'll start with the short version.
Sure.
An ex-mercenary is forced out of isolation when 3 mysterious men kidnap and brainwash the city's children afflicted with the Geosigma disease.
Sounds about right.
You're going to have to really help with one of these words. 2 years after the events of Final Fantasy VII, a disease called the Seikon Shunkogun? Shukogun?
I don't know what you're looking at, but...
or geostigma, is spreading throughout the planet. This disease is believed to have been caused by the body fighting off foreign material that invaded the body 2 years earlier at the end of Final Fantasy VII. Guilt-ridden and haunted by his past, ex-soldier Cloud Strife has decided to live a secluded, solitary life away from his friends while maintaining Strife's delivery service, whose headquarters is located in Tifa Lockhart's bar, the Seventh Heaven. Tifa's bar serves as an orphanage for children stricken with geostigma. Here, Tifa keeps an eye on Barrett's 6-year-old daughter, Marlene, while Barrett searches the planet for an alternative energy source to the planet's energy Mako. One day, Cloud receives a phone call from the former Shinra Incorporated president Rufus, asking him for protection from a mysterious man named Kadouche. Kadouche, in the meantime, along with his brothers Laz and Yazoo, are searching for their mother, and seem to believe that Cloud knows where to find her. Meanwhile, Vincent Valentine has been wandering the planet gathering information on Kadouche's scheme, and Cloud and his friends must come together again to fight these new enemies.
All right, so just the entire movie. And that had as much insight into like what Barrett's doing as the movie does. Maybe more.
The fact that there is nothing to do really with Barrett and his daughter, like he's still an absentee father, is maddening. There's no reason.
There's no reason.
And Cloud isn't living necessarily a solitary lifestyle.
No.
He's directly connected to Tifa every day.
Yeah.
He has a relationship with Tifa that he's never had in his life.
Right. I almost interjected, but then I was like, well, he does duck a lot of phone calls, so I guess he's trying to live a solitary existence, but but not, I don't know, not doing a very good job of it.
Okay, so we know what the movie's about. The movie is about a new disease, geostigma, popping up because of the prevalence of Mako.
Yeah.
Fuck the rest of the movie. I have questions.
Okay.
Aerith and Zack show up as phantasms to Cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think that they have become kind of more than just phantoms and more of like the way the world projects what could be. Like, it's not just that Cloud is seeing them as his own like objects of trauma.
Right.
Like, are they being given to him by the life stream?
I would say that's what the movie wants us to take away from it. Yeah. As much as I want to reject that reading of it and hate that idea of like, I think that's the whole idea of the life stream is supposed to be like, you know, we pass away and it's almost like a flame moving from candle to candle, you know, like our energy moves on from this corporeal frame and goes back in the life stream and then repopulates somewhere else as something else. Our physical selves, our souls or whatever, are just sort of like taken back into the ether, and those experiences are like dissipated throughout and like reinform what the life stream is. That's the way I've always read it. I didn't read it as like individualized souls that continue to exist as they were constituted in their physical life. And I think that's a more beautiful, like generalized, universal way of looking at it. But now this movie's just like, no, hey, no, the souls are constant. And you know what? Anytime we want to bring Sephiroth back in, hey, he's never gone either.
I'm going to throw
here
something
always,
absolutely
forever.
wild at you.
Yeah. What you got?
Summons. Summons.
Yeah, I'm listening.
They're reconstituted life forms from the life stream, right? Ones that are exceptionally powerful, that have effectively become materia all their own. Like, how do we not know that the idea of the ancient being Aerith and the idea of the protector or the bodyguard, i.e. Zack, have become their own archetypes within the life stream, much like Shiva, Ifrit, Bahamut?
That's a good point. And, you know, I'm just realizing I'm just wrong. I wanted it to be that, but I'm just wrong. Like, because now I'm remembering, like, Aerith is, like, visited by her mother. Like, if you, in Two Paths as well, like, as a child, she has nightly visits from her mother. And you're, like, made to think of it, like, not her, like, interpreting it that way, or, like, as you just brought up the idea of, like, I don't know, like, my own trauma manifests as this in my exposure to the live stream. But that's like my own shit. It's not the actual live stream, like projecting that in. It's just like how it manifests to me personally. But no, I think, yeah, I'm just wrong.
I'm curious, but I am curious though. Like, maybe this is like a Final Fantasy 201 conversation that we're having right now. But like,
yeah, I think so. More complex.
But the idea that like there are in this movie we see a new version of a summon, right?
Yeah.
The one that Kadouche summons. What is it? Bahamut Sin, maybe? Is what they call it.
I don't know what anyone was called. I didn't even remember that. It was like, what are these enemies? Kadouche, Dozer, Kazoo. Who the fuck cares?
It's Kadouche, you giant asshole. But it is, yeah. So this is a new version of Bahamut called Bahamut Sin. And in the past, we've seen so many different versions of Bahamut. A little peek into the corner. In Final Fantasy VII, you have Bahamut, Neo Bahamut, and Bahamut Zero.
Yeah.
In this movie, there's a new one called Bahamut Sin. And that's the one that Kadouche has kind of like made his summon.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Rebirth, we have Bahamut Awakened, right? So like you have all of these different archetypical summons that the live stream has given form. So is it the idea that like once you reach a certain level of impact upon the world, you are no longer individualized, but you become archetypical?
I guess so, because like materia is from like high concentrations of Mako, right?
Right.
in like stone form and like crystallized and then kind of like derived from that. So I guess like, yeah, a strong enough personality or presence or soul. Maybe it's like they leave remnants of themselves somewhere in the live stream that like they exist. Like, and maybe my reading is correct to a certain degree. Like the normies get dissolved back into the live stream itself. But like those who, I don't know, have made a big impact on the planet or like have a strong enough will or unfinished business or whatever it is, leave that remnant behind that can be derived from the Mako and turn into a materia or summon or something.
Okay, so I have a fun little game for us to play because I don't know about you. I don't have shit ass to say about this game or this movie.
I guess I got a few things.
But I do want to ask you something. When it comes to archetypes, what do you think the party's archetypes would be called? Like, for instance, I think Tifa would be the pugilist.
Oh. That's good.
Like, do you have any off the top of your head that you would just like see like you would pick up the red materia and it would say the pugilist and you'd be like, oh shit, yeah. I know what this one does.
Honestly, like that phrasing and using that term specifically almost makes me think of like a tarot card, which that probably exists somewhere. Someone's probably made those like FF7 tarot cards, but that would be very good.
If they haven't, they should please like hit us up. I want to see what those look like.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. Like
the fool is obviously Kate Sith, right? The fool is Kate Sith.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's like the obvious ones are coming to mind. Like, yeah, Aerith, this is our healer. Yuffie is our thief. Sid is like our, I don't know if you would call him like a patriarch. He is like the older guy on the team that has the experience, but I don't know. He's not really.
If we were doing straight tarot cards, I would almost make Sid like the hanged man.
That's good.
Like the man who cannot touch the ground.
Yeah. But all he's doing is touching ground, and that's the source of his frustration. He's supposed to be in space.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, like, I'm throwing these out. Like, I don't even know like good tarot card archetypes. Just the pugilist. Like, I could visualize like a tarot card with, that written across the top in like, like a flowery script. That would look very cool.
I just like, I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about this movie because I expected
because it doesn't have a lot to say about itself.
I expected it to be everything I wanted the Spirits Within to be.
Yeah.
And it was not that.
It is. I was thinking, what would you rather watch? Because I was trying to think like, yeah, me too. But I guess I was trying to figure out like, what is a better film? Like, I would rather watch this because even though I don't enjoy the experience, like there are moments of genuine fun, and it is always good to see characters that you cared about like be on screen, even if they're dressed weird or just like not doing much of anything. Whereas like I don't give a shit about anybody in The Spirits Within. But I was kind of thinking like, is The Spirits Within a better film? Technically, like it definitely functions like it has the framework of a film there. Like this movie is all over the fucking place, but it's more of a fun ride. And I don't, at that point, like when a movie like The Spirits Within that technically checks all the boxes of like, we have our narrative arc and we have, this character archetype here and we have a climax here, but it's just all so dull and by the book. It's kind of like, I don't know, like we're going out for breakfast. It's like, do you want a bowl of dry oats and to try and choke those down? Or do you want the scrapings off the top of the donut? Do you just want like a handful of icing? Like neither one's going to really.
No, here's what it is.
Yeah.
Do you want a bucket of dry oats or do you want a disgusting Bloody Mary. And here's the kicker. The only way you really want that Bloody Mary is if you've been drinking the night before. And by drinking the night before, I mean played the video game prior. If you've never played Final Fantasy VII, watching this movie is a fucking nightmare. It is
that's why I kind of
acid trip.
Yes. That's kind of why I visualize like just, I don't know, like icing or something. Like it's just a sugar rush. There's nothing to sustain you here. There's nothing of like nutritional value in this, but there is a bunch of flashy stuff on screen that's kind of fun to look at.
But the only way you can even remotely enjoy it is if you've had that sugar before. Like it's a drug hit.
I think you're right. I don't know, because I went in like knowing the source material, because I was thinking like you start out, and actually I kind of like the first little bit of the movie, right? It's like we do get, some backstory, some exposition to kind of explain who these people are. And we at least get like a sense of the world. I also really like, that's a genuine thing I do like. I love just panning around like the outskirts of Midgar and like seeing like even little things like a highway sign, like 2 miles to Midgar, and like showing like the loops of the highway and like the road infrastructure, like getting a sense of the larger world.
This world is so much more lived in than the world of Spirits Within.
I was going to get to that point where like I have a sense of like this city layout and the life that exists in the nooks and crannies and amidst the wreckage here. There is more life in the first 2 or 3 minutes of this movie than in all the Spirits Within. We're seeing like trucks drive around and like vendors and like pedestrians, trip on the sidewalk, and there's none of that in the Spirits Within. So I did like that. But yeah, I don't know. I was thinking like, yeah, you're not going to know what's going on or who these people are, especially when they bring in, like they do a good job, I think, establishing Cloud, Tifa, Marlene, Denzel, new character, and Aerith and Zach. I think you get a pretty good sense. I think you could kind of figure out what's going on there. But by the time we've got like Kate Sith and Yuffie and Barrett and Sid Highwind like dropping in for their brief cameo and then not really having much else to do, like, yeah, who are these people? Why are they here? What are they doing? And where did they go?
It's basically like watching the last half hour to 45 minutes of Endgame, never watching another Marvel movie.
It's like jumping into the MCU, like when the portals open up for the battle against Thanos.
And it's like, oh God, who are these people? They look, well, some of them look cool. That guy looks real rough, but like some of them look pretty cool, and some of them are doing some really cool stuff. That guy has a 3-barreled gun. That's really neat. But like, there's no attachment or connection to any of those characters outside of the game you have played. And
yeah, I agree.
And I want to ask, do you think that the idea of geostigma is good enough for this movie to be made? Because I don't.
No. I think it's fine as a subplot.
I think it's decent enough for like a kicking off point for a D&D campaign. But
yeah, I think it's a fine aspect to like maybe as a catalyst for like what's going on. Like I like some of the stuff the movie's trying to do. I like dealing with Cloud's guilt and the visions from Aerith. And actually there's one line in this movie that works really well for me. It's he has the vision of Aerith, and she comes to him and she says, "I never blamed you. Not once. You came for me. That's all that matters." And the music in the background of the scene, like, that's a very good scene. And
yeah,
there is some good stuff here, and I liked exploring that. The problem is, and I wouldn't say like there wasn't enough of that. I think there was plenty of that. The problem is like what this movie is, when you look at like the main, like the big bad and like what they prioritize showing on screen, it is just so much battling and like hopping around swinging swords at these villains. And man, I could not give a shit about these villains and what they're trying to do,
I don't know, man. Like, this entire film is built entirely around a couple of good lines from Aerith, and that's it. Like, you came even though you're about to break. That's a good sign. So why did you come? And then Cloud, I think I want to be forgiven more than anything. And then Aerith, by who? Like,
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then the last line, the last line from Aerith is, see, everything's gonna be all right. Like, Cloud, chill the fuck out. The world's got this under control. You are not the only thing that exists. Like, it is a very good way to make Cloud's guilt personal and not environmental.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
mm-hmm.
we don't have to make the world blame Cloud, because I don't think that's ever fair. Tifa doesn't blame Cloud. No one blames Cloud except for himself, really. And by, I think, the end of this story, it comes down to Cloud, knock off this kind of pity party action you've got going on. The world moves on, and you're doing everything you can for it.
Yeah. And you got these people around you who are still alive that need you.
Yeah.
But you're not willing to move on and live with them. You know, you just want to cut yourself off. And I think it was good to have that because, I mean, I love the ending of Final Fantasy VII. I think it's perfect. I love the just cut to 500 years later and overgrown Midgar, and yeah, the planet moves on, and all this struggle that was just a blip in the billions of years long life of this planet and in the cosmos, right? Love that. But you kind of do, I think that, yeah, this was like an area that was open to be explored, like, but Cloud, like, after the quest, you know, the epilogue, like, yeah, how is he going to process everything that just happened to him, right? And I think, like, having a movie that explores that is a good idea, but it can't be the only good idea in the movie, and it is.
I don't need Cloud to have children with Tifa and their generations go on to, you know, repopulate the world or whatever. Don't get me wrong. I love a happy ending. It is one of my favorite things in the world, is to see a happy ending. I never, ever, even when first playing Final Fantasy VII OG, I never thought Aerith was going to be, or Aeris at the time, was going to be the happy ending for Cloud. I never thought that was going to be the case.
Yeah.
So, seeing 500 years in the future, Midgar regrown, cool. But let me see my characters have peace and moments of happiness, because I didn't see them have that in the game, and they fucking deserve it.
I think that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, I don't need this movie. I don't really want this movie ultimately. I'm perfectly fine this sort of ambiguous ending. It's my kind of shit. And just sort of like wondering and imagining what happened in that 500 years, what happened in the 5 years, you know, at the climax of that game.
Right.
But I don't need, it was making me think of, there's a Rene Magritte quote, the fine artist, the painter that I really like. Everything we see hides another thing. We always want to see what is hidden by what we see. There's an interest in that which is hidden and which the visible does not show us. This interest can take the form of a quite intense feeling, a sort of conflict, one might say, between the visible that is hidden and the visible that is present. Like, I feel the interest. I want to see what happened in that 500 years. I want to see what's obscured behind whatever it is. Like, you know, we as humans do. But sometimes after seeing it, like, I preferred not knowing, right? Having the curiosity and the wonderment that I'm left with was a preferable experience to, like, having everything explained and turned into content. I think that's the age we're living in now, where like every IP is just being mined to the point where like every peripheral character and every aspect of every main character's like backstory has been turned into like a Disney Plus series or like a spin-off series of novels. Like there's nothing hidden anymore. We're never like longing to see what's hidden at this point because everything keeps being revealed. So I guess my point is I preferred not really knowing, but if they were to make a sequel and they did, then I like this as like a prime component of that sequel. Like, yeah, I think that's a good area to explore, like the fallout of the quest and what that means for Cloud, and like to ground it in something emotional, like the emotional core of the movie, Cloud, his guilt, letting Eris go, moving on with Tifa, building a life for himself. I like that, but it's not enough because I don't care about the other events transpiring. I don't care about the new characters. I don't like how they utilize or underutilize really the characters from the party that I really wanted to see. You know, like you need to do some fan service. I don't want it to be all fan service, but like you need to do better than just.
You could have very easily had Barrett be a father. You could have had Vincent and Sid on phone calls, and you could have Yuffie randomly show up and steal a materia from you. And like, I'm good. That's fine. That's all you really need. Like, the fan service is nice, but there was no story that made the fan service necessary. Like, even the whole Genova Sephiroth geostigma bullshit, like, it wasn't big enough. Like, these are people that have literally saved the entire world. Like, they're all going to come together for one summon.
And they're all like, apparently are already hanging out. Like, they're all together, which doesn't really make sense.
Like, don't they all have their own summons?
Yeah. Like, it made sense where Cloud and Tifa ended up, but like, I don't know. I didn't really see like the rest of the party continuing to adhere absent the quest they were on, right? They're going to return back to their corners of the world. Like, I expect a lot more Barrett, and if I didn't see Sid Highwind except for like a brief moment, like, yeah, I get that, right? He went back home.
Yeah.
Same thing with Yuffie. She's back in Wutai, maybe. You know?
And Kate Sith is running the Gold Saucer, and Vincent is doing his weird vampire shit.
Yeah. And with like some of those, like, I know, you know, some of those are fan favorite characters. Like, everyone's got a favorite, and sometimes that's Vincent for some people. It's not one of mine. Or, you know, Kate Sith. So like, I get like some fans are going to want to see more of them. But for me, and I think for most FF7 fans, like having some event, some like cataclysmic event at the climax where you pan around and show like, I don't know, maybe it's like similar to the original game where we pan around and show like everyone else like watching this eruption of the life stream and like meteor descending down, and we're getting their reactions as like everyone that we've crossed paths with so far in this journey is like watching the same event transpire. And maybe that's how we show a couple of these party members, and like that's all they get. And if you utilize the characters that were on screen better, then that would be enough to just give me that. But like having them all like jump in and then just like toss Cloud up, which is ridiculous. Like the way they just like throw it.
Yeah, no, it's bad. It's bad. The whole thing is bad.
It's so fucking dumb. It's so fucking dumb. Okay. That's a major issue with this movie to me.
Physics?
Is yes. Or lack thereof, or the selective application of physics.
Sure.
There are moments where this movie wants you to feel like the stress of like the character clinging to the edge of the precipice. You know what I mean? They're hanging on or whatever. But it's like the last 10 minutes, they literally just flew around. Sometimes they can jump like 100 feet in the air, it seems like. Sometimes like you are supposed to feel the stress of like, oh my God, how is Cloud going to land? Like, what if he gets knocked off of this? Or we need to throw him up physically. But then other times, same thing with the motorcycles. Like, I don't know, like nothing in this movie has any weight to it. Everything, like the motorcycle scenes are just like, they're like magnetized, like, or like on an ice rink. Like everything's just like slipping around weightlessly, wildly.
The whole scene, the whole film is a video game cutscene where no one's going to be negatively impacted.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
It does.
I don't know, man. I don't have much of anything good to say about this movie. Like I really don't. Like I was hoping, I had hope that all of the little like weird parts of 17-year-old Beau were still going to remember this movie fondly. It wasn't the case. There's no depth, there's no character. Yeah, it's great to see them all on film again. That's what I wanted from Spirits Within, but there was nothing there to be seen. So why would I want to see them again?
Right. That I think that's my point. Like, physically nothing has weight, and narratively nothing has weight. Like, why do I care what they're fighting over and what they've been fighting over for the last 20 minutes? Just like endlessly swinging their swords around. Like, this quest and these characters, and it really culminates with what is to me like the worst offense of this movie, which is having Kadouche turn into Sephiroth.
Yeah, what the fuck was that? Come on.
Fuck off. It's one of my biggest gripes about remake into Rebirth is like the overuse of Sephiroth and just like not having any restraint. Like I get it. I get the temptation as like creators, right? You have this like classic villain, one of the best of all time. And the way he's used in the original FF7 is so good. And the reveal of Sephiroth is so good. Some of the most iconic, like coming up and seeing like the Midgar Zolom just like skewered, you know? Seeing the blood trails of like Genova, like it is just, there's so many good gradual reveals of Sephiroth. And then just, well, we know y'all like Sephiroth, so we put a Sephiroth on your Sephiroth, like just like flashback, vision. Now with this character Sephiroth, no, he's not Sephiroth, but now he is. For this battle, Sephiroth's back, and yeah, One Winged Angel, y'all love that, right? We're gonna play that, but now it's metal, and now he's gone. We toppled Sephiroth again, but wasn't that awesome? It's not. There's nothing to it because it doesn't make sense, and it's like that's like the worst instance of fan service. Like some of the stuff I kind of like. It's dumb and goofy fun. Like, okay, what is his name? It's not. Is it Laz?
It's Laz,
I think.
Kadouche, and something else. Yazoo, I think.
All right, so the scene when Kazoo comes into the church and Tifa has to fight him.
Yeah,
and
that's Laz.
She
by
like
the
knocks
way.
him in. I know. I'm just being.
Oh, okay, cool. My bad.
No, I'm just.
I don't know why I raised my hands.
I'm being ornery.
Like the crowd could see, like our listeners could see me raise my hands. Like, hey, man, I'm not coming at you.
He like emerges from the rubble and the cell phone's ringing and it's like the Final Fantasy Victory fanfare, like little dumb Easter eggs like that. That's fine. That's fun. It's goofy, but there's a level of like goofiness that's just so bad. That's just so fucking. It's so fucking Kingdom Hearts. The three villains that like all look like copies of each other, except they have like slightly different hairstyles, and like what they're a copy of is the other villain that one of the villains is now morphing into at like a pinnacle moment for no discernible reason. Like they explain it enough to get away with it, but it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But it doesn't mean anything because it was just like a reason for more spectacle, and it's the same spectacle you've been watching for the last 20 minutes. And there was never any danger, or there was never any way that it could have ended up any way other than how it did. Like you knew how things were going to shake out from the moment they unsheathed their swords.
Right.
It was just a matter of like, how long is it going to take to get there? I'm so, yeah, by the end of it, I'm just so fucking tired. I'm just so tired. But I do like Reno and Rude.
Dude, it was really good. Okay. So again, recency bias. It was really good to see Reno again.
Yeah. And okay. I think like I thought of them specifically when I was trying to figure out like what is the better movie and which would I rather watch, because this movie kind of pisses me off more than Spirits Within did, but it also gives me more like enjoyment than Spirits Within ever could. And it's moments like getting knocked down and having his sunglasses stepped on, and you get that moment of like horror, his reaction, and then he just pulls out another pair from like inside his like breast pocket.
It's very
and
good.
Slips them on. That's more fun than anything Steve Buscemi said in Spirits Within. You know, it is.
I will say, finding out that like Elena had been absolutely axed was kind of a bummer, despite the fact that she is like a pretty hardcore negative character in Rebirth. But like just seeing Reno again felt oh so right. Like,
yeah.
That was real good. Guys, also, if you don't know who Reno is, he is a very sexy maroon spiky headed black suit wearing rebel who is just oh so cute. I just want to hug him.
Yeah, I like Reno and Rude. I always have. And I think that's a good point. Like I mentioned before, I bought a bootleg copy. I watched it once and I never watched it again because I didn't like it. But I feel way more negatively about it on this rewatch. And I think the reason is because that initial watch, like, oh wow, that didn't give me anything I wanted, really. Like I am massively disappointed with what that movie was. But at that time, just seeing those characters rendered at like that level, like visual beauty, and seeing them like dance around on screen, like even if it's ultimately for no purpose, like again, at that point, we don't have Rebirth. We don't have Remake. We have not seen Cloud ever look like this. We have never seen Tifa be able to fight like this. Like the very best FMVs in Final Fantasy VII got nowhere close to this. And that in itself was cool at the time. Even though it wasn't a good movie, just seeing our characters, you know, like brought to life like that.
You know, if only they would have made them do the Thriller dance. If only.
Was that not a bonus on your DVD? Because in my PS3 edition of Complete. Hey, did you watch Complete or did you watch the original release?
Fucked if I know, dude. All I know is there are tons of bonuses on mine that I did not watch. I was not.
Okay. I have the Complete version, and I'm assuming... No, I think there was no way, because I think this came out later. The original version I would have watched back when this came out was like the original cut. So apparently there's like 26, I think it was like 20-something, maybe 26 extra minutes of movie in this. I didn't need it.
I'm good.
I don't know. I was looking up what it was and like, okay, like it, as little as the movie makes sense. Like I know what it's about and I know why things are happening. I just think it's very poorly told, but like still as like little sense as it makes, really. Like, man, without like all these extra like explanatory scenes, like, wow, I'm kind of curious, not curious enough to actually watch it, but like, how bad was that original cut? Like, how poorly explained was the story in the original without like these additional scenes of like Rufus? Yeah.
So I hate to jump, but I have a little bit of something about that actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
You got a corner?
I have a brief corner. It is the smallest of corners. It's more of like a breakfast nook.
You got one little materia slot.
Yeah.
On this accessory. Just one. Choose wisely.
It's that first copper bracelet you get.
Okay, wait. Sorry, I know you're getting into something. How does materia work? How do you use materia?
Are you asking me? Function? Because I have theories.
Yeah. I don't want to derail you, but okay.
No, I've been
they
fucking
literally
derailed.
Push the materia into like their forearm.
Yeah, some people could just like take it into their bloodstream. But like
I didn't know that was a thing.
Cloud and Tifa, like they put the materia like it slots into their weapon or armor. So you don't get infected by the Mako.
Right.
The more you put the materia into you, the more you can have the degradation that soldiers are afraid of.
I guess like my question is, as like a physical, like I always figured it was like a stone, like a hard exterior, like crystallized object, and they're just like lightly pushing it into their arm. Is that part of the magical process where like you activate it and then it changes material state?
I think it's more of like an energy source and less of an object. So
I don't know, like the way Yuffie carries them around, almost like David Bowie carrying around like the crystal balls in Labyrinth, just like a palm full of them.
Also,
you know?
the way you just did your fingers right underneath the screen was very like, much like you were fondling balls.
A little, making a very profane gesture over here.
Hello, boys. Let me fondle your materia. Looks like you've got that support materia ready to go. Because support materia are blue, if I remember correctly.
Oh, 10 out of 10. Okay. But like
10 out of 10. Christ.
It was very good. It was very good. Well done. Because I thought of them as being crystals, right? And you slot them into something and then activate them. Through like a conduit, but then like to see Kadouche just like pop it into his wrist or whatever.
See, I always thought it
gave me pause.
And maybe this is the D&D player / dungeon master like brain. I always thought it was like you have to attune yourself to it. So like when you become attuned to the materia, you can control how it functions, so you can summon energy from it or throw energy through it to cast spells. Where like Kadouche is just attuning himself to a materia and just shoving it directly into his bloodstream. Fuck what he can do with it. Now it does something for him. So instead, he basically becomes the worst version of a Shinra-made soldier, where his body is going to degrade so quickly from Mako poisoning. But for that brief amount of time, he's going to be exceptionally powerful.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's really like the change in state of matter that like I never thought it could function that way. I always assumed like, I thought that's why the conduits were important. Like you slot it into a piece of armor or a weapon because you cannot directly ingest that Mako, right? You will get Mako poisoning. Even like the soldier process is like getting small doses of this, or like small like cell infusions, right?
Or then maybe that's what it is as well. Like maybe he's had so many infusions and so much like exposure to Mako, like it can't tell the difference between him and it.
So, okay, when you really resonate, it changes from like a crystal ball down to like a lotion. He's just like rubbing it in.
Yeah.
Like a balm.
A Mako balm. Yeah. That's why his skin is so smooth.
It is. It is. They're pretty crew. I'm apparently Mako makes a line of hair care products as well because they're all done up real nicely.
It's not that good. It's fine.
No, it's not. I think they're dog shit. They're all just like it's fucking. Show me a scene of like Kingdom Hearts 3 of all like the fucking villains just standing on either side of like a valley talking exposition at one another for like 30 minutes.
Oh my god! Thank you.
And it's like the same stable of character designs.
No.
The same hair.
More than that. Did you compare the hair from Spirits Within to Advent Children?
I was looking at that hair.
Holy shit, dude. It was like looking at the teeth of a comb versus looking at the field of wheat. Like, I understand why they spent so much time in Advent, or not in Advent Children, in Spirits Within now. Like, the hair was there. And in this movie, it was not. It looked like an unbraided fucking copper wire.
Yeah, that's a good point too. It's like you mentioned having the uncanny valley thing with Spirits Within, right? But you don't really have it with this, and it's because at no point does this ascend to anything beyond video game cutscene, right? The whole time it reads like a video game cutscene, and it's more stylized.
There's no valley to be candied. Yeah. The valleys are all...
The valley's barren.
It's completely barren valleys. No cannied, no uncannied, nothing to be done. Okay, Christ.
All right. Yeah, that was a hell of a tangent. I'm sorry. I had to get that out.
That was a good tangent. And honestly, I don't have much for this corner, but I did want to mention one thing.
Yeah.
The creators of the film had no prior knowledge of how to make a movie, so it was based on their knowledge of in-game movies.
Oh, I saw that. I saw that factoid.
They're like, fuck, we can't make a movie, so we're just going to make
everything.
We're going to make a 98-minute cutscene, baby.
That's the weird thing, though, because, like, it's written by Kazushige Nojima. Like, it's got the original, like, scenario writers from FF7, like, and, like, a lot of the crew is here. How did this happen?
Yeah, but see, that goes right into my second point. The original was only supposed to be 20 minutes long.
The original what? Advent Children?
The original version of this story was supposed to only be 20 minutes long.
There's about 20 minutes worth of story here. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, yes. I mean, if you excised all of the just battles, it's probably not far off from that runtime. If you condense just the story beats.
I mentioned the Bahamut thing earlier, so that's not really a big deal. I do want to mention, during Cloud's final fight with Sephiroth, quote unquote Sephiroth, he uses what appears to be his final Limit Break Omni Slash. This is in fact a modified version called Omni Slash Mark V, designed by the character creators.
Cool.
So, like, that's nothing. Absolutely nothing. The entire movie is supposed to be a flashback, as I'm sure you're aware. You know, like the first sequence of the film is the last sequence of the video game, takes place 500 years. Right. Red 13's running with his children, blah, 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 blah. This movie is supposed to be basically a flashback for Red 13.
And no pointy flashback to my biggest question, which is, where'd those little baby Reds come from?
You don't know what Red 13 fucks.
What? That's my question. Yes, he does, but what? What is he fucking? He's the last one, huh?
Yellow 14. I don't know. Another character, another color and number.
From where?
Wait.
Who? What?
Why is he the last one? Isn't he
the last of his species?
No, I didn't think so. I thought he was just the last of his species in that area.
Oh.
Because he has a mother and a father.
I thought that he was like the last of that line.
And there was no real like concern that they had like the mother and father were both like watchers, right? Like everything seemed to be pretty vegan kosher for them, except for the fact that they died.
I always thought Red was the last of his species.
Okay, one last thing before we get to the Red thing. Kadouche uses a blue/support materia to summon Bahamut Sin, as opposed to the red materia that should be used, which was a bit wootsy doodle, I think, for me, and I find it funny.
I'm sure they have a reason.
No, they don't. There's no fucking reason. Brandon, come on, man.
No, it's the high concentration of Mako in the area paired with the reemergence of Sephiroth has thrown a different colored hue onto everything. It's geostigma. I don't know.
No,
whatever.
And then why call it Bahamut Sin? Like, was he for some reason shackled. No, fuck off. Fuck
Because
off.
it sounds fucking cool. It's 2005, and it sounds fucking cool. Is it 5? 2004?
5, I think.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. It's fucking cool.
It's fucking garbage. Sorry. Man, look, again, maybe this is like the several months or the new year of Bo being a fucking grumpy pants like Brandon. But like, I can't. Advent Children in this really just fucking hurt, dude. I can't find a reason to enjoy this.
We can't, but you know who can? You know who can?
Yeah, I do. Oh, Christ.
Internet Movie
Let's
Database.
go. Yeah, let's get weird with it.
We are outliers. We are outliers.
Are we really?
We don't like this movie? Yes. There are 556 reviews of this film on IMDb as of recording. 200 of those reviews are 10 out of 10.
Christ alive.
About a third of reviewers.
This is non-alcoholic beer that I'm drinking, and I wish it wasn't.
I don't even know where to start. I wanted to do like a roundup of like the general thoughts. Here's one from Alexantonopoulos, September 17th, 2006. 10 out of 10. Huh? What do you mean Matrix? Is it a type of food or something? And Lord of the Rings? Is that a jewelry store? Yeah, that's right. After that gorgeous film ended, I had already forgotten every other action film I've seen in the past. The story starts 2 years after the game Final Fantasy VII, but that's just as far as my telling of the story will go, since I really don't want to spoil anything. So let's start with the visuals. They are out of this world. Unbelievably realistic textures, but at the same time, faithful to the manga spirit. And in contrary with the previous full-length motion picture installment in the Final Fantasy saga, but in agreement with the actual games of the series, every character is designed to look beautiful, even the ugly ones. The dubbed in English version, which I watched, is very well done.
Good. Yeah. We're back.
The dubbed in English version, which I watched, is very well done, letting you forget that the original voices were actually Japanese. The acting is very good as well, especially the voices of the two main characters, Cloud and Tifa. The story is amazing. I read some negative opinions about the script of the movie, but I really can't see any flaws. I've read hundreds of books, seen even more movies, but no other story touched me that much. The dialogues are written so greatly that you can feel a character just by a sentence, and the overall story dwells in a matter we all have to deal with in our life. I also noticed some loud biblical references, especially near the end. I think the whole source of the negative reactions to the story is that the movie doesn't serve you its depth on a plate, but follows in a kind of Matrix-style storytelling where you need to get... We're losing Bo. I can't watch you. I'm going to go ahead and obscure your window there. Okay. Unsummon Bo for a moment so I can get through this. It's a kind of Matrix-style storytelling where you need to get inside the movie in order to truly love it. I personally am really fond of this. I need to start that again. There are a lot of typos in this one. I personally am really fond of this type of storytelling since you're able to watch it careless and still enjoy it. While if it gave you the true meaning right away, you'd get bored if you weren't interested in the whole experience. However, in contrary with the Matrix sequels, where you had to be interested in philosophical discussions in order to enjoy them, this film here can be enjoyed through something much more human and natural, which at the same time holds within all the philosophies of the world: emotions.
Are you
All you have to do is let yourself feel the characters, and you're in for a ride. And now, last but definitely not least, about the action sequences. My God, this exceeds my expectations and even my own imagination. It's merciless, but in a really cool way. The camera keeps moving while the most unbelievable sequences are shown. I really can't describe it with words. You'll have to see it for yourselves. But keep in mind this, it's greater than anything that's been done before. So yes, for those of you who are beginning to suspect it, yes, this is my favorite film of all times. I understand that for some, this might be a difficult thing to understand since manga movies and movies based on video games are not really that admired by most critics and viewers. And this film combines both. But it's the truth. From all the films I've seen, nothing was more stunning and gripping than this. 6 people found that review very helpful.
Of course they did. Yeah, I would too. Yeah, that helped me. I honestly I found God in that review.
There are a lot that is like a very indicative review of like the general roundup of things I found. Here's another 10 out of 10 from Lovebug 615, November 11th, 2008. Honestly, this film is no good without the game because you just would not understand it. I love it. I think Cloud is extremely hot. If he was a real person, the hair is great. If only people could do their hair like that in real life, it would be awesome. I recommend to anyone who has played the game. Final Fantasy is amazing. Play them all, except the latest crap ones. I like the old school ones. This is truly amazing and is super cheap. Buy it, buy it, buy it. Awesome film and amazing game. Many people will tell you the same. Yeah. 10 out of 10. That one was kind of hard to read. It really lacked punctuation until the end there.
That went into some, like, wild places.
I mean, yeah. Do we think if Cloud were real, like if you saw Cloud on the street with that hair? I don't know.
I'd ask him out. I mean, I'd ask my wife first, and then I'd ask him out. Hey,
I think it could work for me. It's one of those, like, I don't know, you see some, like, sometimes you see a very, like, manga design and the manga spirit. And you're like, yeah, that looks very cool, like, drawn or, like, in a video game. But, like, if you really
in real life, there's no way
on a real person, they would look ridiculous.
I will put it this way. As someone who normally keeps his hair up,
yeah,
as opposed to down, the amount of product that Cloud has to purchase to keep his hair the way he wants it, especially riding a motorcycle, he'd be upside down. He couldn't afford it with his small delivery service. I don't know what sort of military hair pension he has, but it'd have to be good.
No, it's Mako, man. You just mush it in between your fingers and just rake it through your hair and you're good to go.
Right. You use the yellow prayer Mako to make sure. It's the chakra Mako that goes right into the follicles. Get you real good.
And then after, like, you do it once, and then every day after that, you just use a mime material just to mimic what you did. So you just like one and done. Yeah.
And honestly, don't wash your hair every day. Otherwise, that material
you're not supposed to do that anyway.
Comes straight out. Wash your hair every 2, maybe even 3 days if you're feeling really squirrely, and then just a light addition of some mime or chakra materia into the edges of the hair, into the tips. What the fuck are we doing?
No, I mean, we're guys in their 30s talking about how to hang on to the hair that they have left. It checks out for me.
Yeah.
This one is kind of along the same lines, but there were so many. There's so many reviews that started with like their movie watching credentials, to prove to you that like, no, they know what they're talking about. So like, This isn't just like some Yahoo saying 10 out of 10. Like this is okay. This one is from Saj K Angel, November 7th, 2005.
Kadouche the Angel,
Kazoo and Yazoo. /Rice is the title of this review.
Awesome. Yeah, that's real good, bud. Good job.
First of all, I am a media student at the best college for media in the country, so believe me, I know what I'm talking about when I say that this is perhaps the most brilliant movie I think I have ever seen. Being a huge fan of the entire Final Fantasy series, I can honestly say that I approached this movie with a little skepticism. I mean, let's face it, Final Fantasy X-2 was not the best game in the world. A good game, sure, but not the best, as should be expected of Final Fantasy. Believe me, I was not disappointed. It follows sublimely from the game with beautiful environments that simply took my breath away. I literally couldn't breathe throughout the movie. The character animation was flawless, and the action scenes were simply stunning. Although the detail in the characters is not as forthcoming as that of the Spirits Within, it does reflect the original Manga Esquire character design.
Manga Esquire.
That's not...
Hello. I am Bo Manga Esquire.
I try and correct typos and like understand what they're trying to say and just say that, but I could not say Manga Esquire. I love it. I love IMDb. I love you people. You're so wonderful.
I have a new intro for the next episode.
Hey, don't steal it. TM. Manga Esquire character design. That's not the in-game chibi people. Having grown up with Final Fantasy VII as my god, I recognized almost all the musical references and was very...
Easy. Come on, you got this.
Got those deep cuts. I recognize... If you don't go to the best college for media in the country, you might not get all those music references, but you better believe I caught them all. Where am I? I don't know.
Who knows anymore,
10
man.
out of 10. Yeah, that's basically it goes on for a while after that, but yeah, that's the general thrust of that one. Okay. Two more. One just quick hit because this is the most 2005 ass review I think I've ever read. This is from Housemate 9, October 21st, 2005. Advent chisel off the hizzle.
Perfect.
This music is beautiful in all its aspects. It's simple, exciting, and effective in all its dramatic pursuits. Although the transition from the game into the time of the film could have been laid out a little bit more accurately, if you watch it a few times with a stain in your pants, the plot's not only... I don't know what that means.
Why?
If you watch it a few times with a stain in your pants, the plot's not only well thought out, but it takes thematic elements introduced in the film and expands them to further relate the game to the feature. AKA, this film is thebomb.com and or gets it on like Donkey Kong.
Wait, okay. The stain in his pants, did he come, piss, or shit himself?
I don't know, but maybe all three. And it seems like it's... And it's not like the movie left me with a stain in my pants. Like I was so
he
excited.
Started it that
I
way.
Shit myself. It's if you watch it with a stain in your pants, you will understand the transition from the game into the time of the film. Like you'll understand the plot.
So his approach is basically I have to walk into this movie having already come, pissed, or shit myself. And then I can have the experience that I am trying to describe for you right now.
Oh, we're coming in real crusty. Yeah, because it tells you, it's like the first thing you see. It's like 500 years in the future and then like 498 years in the past. Like it tells you that.
Yeah.
At the beginning. So he just sees that and just immediately pisses himself. Like, now I get it. Yeah, to be perfectly frank, this movie was so extraordinarily spectacular that it has positively changed my life forever. The movie combines popular elements of recent Japanese favorites, such as Dragon Ball Z, but also clearly takes from less than successful elements used in the Matrix sequels. Advent Children takes all these original ideas and places them well in the context of Final Fantasy, resulting in a combination that feels like how the original game felt like, at the same time as being new and cutting edge in its approach to grab your attention with mind-blowing action, and then contrasting such scenes with such soft, somber displays of emotional conflicts, heightened by a powerful musical score. I love this movie. Nuff said.
Yeah, that was some early aughts ass shit, dude. Again, the come piss shit yourself part was a little weird, but the rest of it was good.
All right. So you might be thinking 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, but how does everyone else feel? Well, I'd like to end with a 1 out of 10.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
It was the woman in blue.
Unfortunately, no.
I shit myself.
This one is from King Con Man P. King Kong Man-P. Someone else also maybe
Yep.
got a stain going.
Maybe we got to watch out for a
stain. January 10th, 2007. 1 out of 10. My review of this movie from the point of somebody who knows nothing of FF7. Spoiler. This review will be full of truthiness. Stephen Colbert's own word. This is from the point of view of somebody who doesn't know jack squat about FF7. Here goes nothing. I saw this movie with my friend who worships Final Fantasy and adores Sephiroth. The main bad guy or main bad guy aside from the other main bad guys? Question mark. He had previously been raving about this movie and was counting the days until it was released. When it was finally released on DVD, he bought it that day. Apparently it was hard to get or something and had me come to his house to watch it. Well, let me tell you, I didn't understand it right at the beginning. Who died with the helicopter? What was going on there? I just brushed that off and hoped they would explain it later. They didn't! I'm still in the dark. The three bad dudes came out of nowhere talking about their brother or something, trying to kill some guy named Cloud for no real reason, and then run off. They eventually kidnap some kids, and this guy who sounds like Michael Jackson talks to them and tells them to do something? It's all kind of creepy if you know what I mean with the Jackson trial. Well, the Cloud guy comes and fights them off, and they get into this big...
Okay, hang on. That's a very timely reference that we didn't necessarily need in that moment. I didn't... Did Rufus really sound like Michael Jackson?
I was hoping that would mean something to you.
Cool, it didn't. Continue.
Okay. Well, the Cloud guy comes and fights them off, and they get into this big battle or whatever. There's this guy in a hood who keeps talking to Mr. Jackson, and Mr. Jackson wants his mommy. Oh, wait, no. Michael Jackson is Kadouche? I don't know. Because, yeah?
I don't know. Please continue.
Yeah. There's something in a box that hooded guy has. My friend told me that it was Mr. Jackson's mom's. We're really going all in on this Mr. Jackson.
Fuck it off the... Dude, we are so in the tank right now, man.
There's this guy in a hood who keeps talking to Mr. Jackson, and Mr. Jackson wants his mommy. There's something in a box that hooded guy has. My friend told me it was Mr. Jackson's mom's head. I don't see how he reasoned that. My head wouldn't fit in there. Well, Mr. Jackson and Cloud battle it out, and Jackson summons a big monster that attacks the town. The town looks like it has these monsters attack it frequently. Looks like a futuristic beat-up ancient city. Ha ha ha. Oxymoron? Cloud battles with Mr. Jackson and beats him. He pulls out the head in a box and takes some green liquid and slaps himself in the chest with it. When you really describe the events that transpire in this movie, it's so fucking dumb. He slaps himself in the chest with it. He then becomes Sephiroth. Sephiroth has his own theme music, which makes him cool in one way. He has a very long sword that he fights with Cloud, whom has a big sword too, only it's not long, it's just very wide. Cloud and Sephiroth have a large, fast battle that I will admit is very good, aside from the fact that Cloud gets stabbed in the shoulder and then picks up his sword and fights. That's not going to happen, people. You have veins and arteries and tendons, which lets you move your arm and hand. Without those, you can't even hold a pen. Just getting hung up on that after the peripheral characters literally threw Cloud 300 feet into the air.
Not to mention he's so far in the weeds about someone's head being in a jar and then slapping the green goo on their chest to make them into Sephiroth. And he's like, dude, you can't be stabbed in the shoulder. Otherwise your shoulder doesn't fucking work, my man.
I love it. It's the physics of this character even swinging around a Buster sword. I don't give a shit about that. But the dimensions of this receptacle for the head, a head could not fit inside of this.
My head can't fit in that box. How could his mom's head fit in that? His mom had to have a very small head.
Without this, you can't even hold a pen. Cloud's sword breaks apart and he slashes Sephiroth up. The end. Or is it? Cloud gets shot by Mr. Jackson's brothers and then comes back to life out of the blue. It's a miracle. Well, Cloud heals the weird illness geostigma with water under a church-like building somehow, and it's over. Yay. I don't know what happens. Animation is good and action scenes are pretty good. Story sucks. Music score is rather good, and I'd like to find out who the composer is. He did a good job. It could have been a good movie if it had more plot. It was only a DVD, so they could have made it really long, could they not? It was made by a big company that shouldn't have had a small budget. Oh well, my friend liked it. Ha! The end. There it is. In all actuality, I do know FF7, and I did like this movie. Its action is good, but its story is still not that great. I was still lost a bit. If I rated it from my point of view, I'd give it 7.5 stars. I hope this helped a lot. If you'd like to contact me, send me an email. Thanks a lot. Sincerely, Mr. William McLeod. What a twist.
Oh my god. Dude, the end of that review, he put green goo on his chest and turned into someone who has watched and played Final Fantasy VII before.
I didn't see that coming. Did you see that coming? Wow,
That
we got
guy's-
Shyamalan.
That guy's head could totally fit into a...
Advent Children, where even the 1 out of 10 are 7.5 out of 10s. This movie can do no wrong to its fans. It can do no wrong. We are
Not its
maybe we're
fans.
wrong? Yeah, no, that's for sure. Jesus Christ. Thank you, IMDb, for another
and
treasure trove.
And thank you, listeners, for putting up with our bullshit this week. You can contact us at our email at sourcenotfoundpod@gmail.com. Find us on all those beautiful, beautiful socials, Facebook, or, honestly, they're not great socials anymore, gang. It's the whole world's on fire, but we're still there, and we're still kind of fun at Source Not Found Podcast. So check us out. On YouTube, we've got all of our backlog of episodes and all of our backlog of Brandon's Twitch stream games for the show. Brando, what's going on Twitch next month?
I mentioned last time, the jank continues. Thank you to everyone's generosity. Got a lot of jank on the wheel, so Jankuary has become... Horseman had a really good one for February. I can't remember it. Fuckuary? I don't know. Just it feels that way. Lots of jank left to go. But come on by, twitch.tv/LegionBug. Link down in the show notes. Right next to the link to Jesse Jelena, Saint Coelacanth, who made that wonderful, wonderful theme music for the show.
So yeah,
Check him out.
that's all of our good stuff, all of our bad stuff, and all of our Advent Children stuff. But join us next time. And thank you so much for listening. And please don't forget to check them toilets for Barrett's cornrows.
Stay manga.